Leslie Lemke is one of fewer than 100 prodigious, I can't even say that word. Say it for me.
Prodigious.
Prodigious. Okay, I did say it right. Savants in the world. When he was just 14, his mother heard him playing a famous classical concerto after hearing it just once. And here's something incredible. Leslie is blind, he can't walk, and he has an IQ of about 58. A Wisconsin woman wrote a book about Leslie Lemke and his mother, May. It is called May's Boy.
And after the author traveled with the family all over the country to see their TV appearances and concerts, her second book is called May's Boy, The Rest of the Story. Shirlee Monty joins us now to give us an update on May and Leslie and tell us why she made it her life's work to tell their story. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So nice to see you again.
How did you get so enthralled with this story? What brought you to this story?
I wrote Terry Muson's biography, and about I was just at the end of that book when she stopped in and told me about this family that had been on her program, the Lemkes. And I couldn't believe any of it naturally, you know, blind, cerebral palsy. So anyway, I said, I've got to see them. So she gave me May's phone number, and I called and I went out to meet her, and I spent the whole day there talking to May and listening to 3 hours of Leslie playing the piano, and I left and said, I have to write a book about you. Well, first I wrote a story about the journal, about him for the journal, and then that went out over the Associated Press, and Meg started getting calls from people all over the country, she kept telling me. And so then I decided I wanted to write a book as well.
Well, and Leslie Lemke has had, through the years, a lot of national attention on 60 Minutes, on Donahue, on Oprah. His concerts would draw huge crowds because his musical ability was so incredible. And I know in your book you talk about at just 14, May woke up to the sound thinking it was a television, and it was Leslie playing the piano, and it was a concerto that he had just heard that day and played it flawlessly.
Exactly, and retains it forever. Everything he plays and hears, he retains it in his computer mind.
Unbelievable.
So it's just unbelievable story. Yes.
Did people believe it when they saw it, or did it take them actually seeing him perform for people to believe the story?
I think a lot of them wanted to see him, to see if it was true, and were just awed, and it was just mind-boggling to watch him.
What do psychologists say about people like Leslie Lemke and their extraordinary ability? Because if you've ever read anything about savants, a lot of them, or I'd say the majority of them, you hear about having incredible mathematic ability, computation, and being able to predict calendars 10 years in the future, pick a day, and they can tell you what day of the week it is, kind of thing. The musically gifted are then, again, another subset. But how is it that their mind, you can have such a low IQ and be so disabled, but yet be able to play music that some people work a lifetime to master?
You know, Dr. Treffert, who's the expert, said that maybe our mind is unable to understand their minds. I mean, they have never really unlocked the mystery of somebody like Leslie, who is, has that kind of ability.
Well, they say we only use, what, 30% of our brain's capacity, and you have to think that there's ways to tap into more knowledge, more intelligence, and it's a true gift that he had. What was May like?
Oh, she was so funny. She was, well, the first year when I wrote the book, she just told me her story, but when we started traveling, she came out to be a captivating woman. She was totally uninhibited, unflappable, funny, good sense of humor, generous, just incredibly outgoing, loved, just showed so much joy of living. She just seemed to be the happiest person. And her granddaughter told me the 3 years we traveled were probably the best years of May's life, because she had spent 30 years raising Leslie with about 2 small trips, you know. And so she just loved it, every minute of it.
And Leslie wasn't her only child.
No, she had 5 children before.
She had 5 children, and what I think is incredible is everything she did to foster this incredible ability that he had, because I think it was because of her that his talent was sort of unlocked and shared with the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, what was her life like to raise other children and then to have a child who was so severely disabled? The fact that he was blind, I mean, alone would mean caring for him could be quite difficult, I would think.
You know, many experts, medical people have said that he would never have lived with any normal person. But May was so giving and so compassionate and so determined, and her mantra was, "Nobody dies with May Lemke." So you see how determined and persistent she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was just no giving up. I mean, think of 14 years before he even played the piano and did nothing.
Yeah.
And she just, she had such makeshift therapies, pulling him around in a belt, and so that he learned to walk, dragging him around. And some of the neighbors said they remember her dragging him around the yard.
Yeah.
He never learned to walk, but he learned to hang on to their shoulders and walk with them.
Huh.
But she'd try anything, suck in his cheek, so he'd learn to swallow and suck better. You know, I mean, just.
And he's about 60 now. He's confined to a wheelchair. As far as you know, he doesn't perform anymore,
I
right?
don't think so. I haven't heard of anything.
So he has a caregiver, because now both of his parents are gone. I know Pat, his sister, is gone also.
She died of breast cancer, and about the time that May, a little bit before May died, I think. I can't remember the time.
And I know the last time that you saw Leslie, you wrote about it in the book. You said, you know, a fond farewell to him, but you kind of had this vision of May greeting him in heaven that I thought was just so precious.
Yes, that's just, you know, I hope someday that happens. He gets to see what May did for him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hope so too.
Because I don't think there's any question he would not have lived, you know.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Your book's absolutely fantastic. Such a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you.
You have a couple book signings coming up where people can meet you, find out more about why you followed this family for so many years, why their story is so, you know, heavy on your heart. June 6th at 12:45 p.m. you'll be at the Wauwatosa Library. Then on June 13th at 10 a.m. you'll be at the New Berlin Library. People can find out more about May's Boy, the rest of the story, by going to ShirleeMonty.com. It was fantastic. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.